Here are my updated Premier League predictions. We're going to run through the 4 sides who I think can win the Premier League title, look at their next fixtures, and give a probability percentage of what's going to happen in the title race. An overview has to be, as I'm sat here, nearly Christmas, Liverpool didn't play a game of football. They didn't have to kick a ball around a football pitch. And they strengthened their position in the Premier League title race because Arsenal dropped points, Man City dropped points, and Chelsea got a very, very big win. But we'll talk about Chelsea in a minute. Let's start off with Man City. This is going to be super, super short. You can't draw to Palace 2-2 and expect to win the Premier League title. I give Man City's chances of winning the league 5%. So if you ran this kind of prediction 100 times, I think City would win it 5 out of 100 times. That's what I genuinely think. A porous defence, still with Kyle Walker in it. Second choice keeper, arguably with Ederson dropped. We're not sure what's happened there. The midfield still constitutes Rico Lewis in it and Ilkay Gundogan. And I just don't see how City can, even if you predict Liverpool could maybe drop points, draw games, I think there's a world that could happen. It's not going to be pure win for Liverpool. You're expecting Man City to match the pace and then surmount the pace. It'd be a minor miracle. And Manchester United come up next for Manchester City. I don't see that being a likely win. I think Man United are terrible and they've got a really, really poor record against Man City in the Manchester Derby in the last few years. Really do. Obviously, there's a few wins here and there, but largely it's been a Man City kind of trolloping of Man United for many, many years now. It's as close as it's probably ever been. I think it could even be a high-scoring draw. And that, again, you can't keep dropping points. So I really do think it was almost the final nail in the coffin. I think if you lose to Palace, I'm not even talking about them in this video. But Manchester City, 4th, you're talking 11 points if Liverpool win their game in hand. And yeah, as I said, it's 5%. I want to talk about Arsenal. I talked about their game on the weekend against Fulham. It was a very, very hard game at points to watch for Arsenal. I think they moved the ball nicely. And then you're seeing them get into that final third position, whipping balls in, almost long ball Arsenal. And I saw this quote on Twitter. This is when Arsene Wenger was in charge, saying that it's not football the way the sides like Alex McLeish's Birmingham City, Tony Pulis's Stoke City, dare I say it, the Sam Allardyce's of the world with Bolton Wanderers. And Arsene Wenger was a massive proponent of saying, this is not my view of football. This is not how football should be played. And we can't make no bones about it. This isn't tactical anymore. This isn't 5 minutes of trying to put pressure on by lumping it long. Guardiola did that. Guardiola in his second season told John Stones, told Otamendi, Ederson to pump it long in pressure situations. 95% of the time, play out from the back. You're more than good enough, but pump it long. What we're seeing with Arsenal is not that. They're not choosing to whip it in dangerously in the final 5 minutes and try and put massive pressure on sides, maybe a little bit like Fergie used to do in the final 5 minutes of games, try and pump it into the box and put pressure on. There's a lot of nobility in doing that. There's a lot of respect in doing that. That is a justifiable way of playing football in the final 5 minutes, getting it into the mixer and seeing what happens. That's fair enough. But the way Arsenal in the second half were just pumping it long all the time. And by long, I mean they're playing out from the back nice. Their midfield looked decent. Jorginho, Declan Rice, Odegaard looked decent. Partey tucking into midfield from a right back position. Fine. But then when they get to that final third position, lumping it into the box, how can you be a side that are expected to go on and try and challenge for the title, currently 3rd in December, with all the money spent, with all the planning and the careful kind of articulation of a side that can win the Premier League title? And then the moment comes where Man City have a historic, biblical drop-off to the likes of which I've never seen, even pre-Taker almost, with 1 win in 8. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And Arsenal are only a couple of points above Manchester City. Man City have got the form of San Marino. And Arsenal are only a couple of points ahead of Man City. And dare I say, if Man City played Arsenal tomorrow, it wouldn't be an easy Arsenal win, which says a lot, really. It really does say a lot. Versus Liverpool, where it was a very easy win for Liverpool against Man City a couple of weeks ago. So Arsenal's number for me is probably closer to. It's probably close to 5% as well. 10%, maybe 10% chance of winning it. They've got Everton next, which isn't easy. I mean, Everton. I'm not sure what to say about Everton. A lot of people are slagging off Everton. I think they're doing okay. I do. They're not really in the relegation zone. I know their performances have been poor. Good win against Wolves, obviously. Arsenal will get a win there, in my opinion, but it's just the starting so slow. You know, the Brighton, the Bournemouth games, the Man City draw where there was a win on the cards. Really, you could have beaten Man City then as well. Frustrating. And it's frustrating as a neutral because Arsenal taught this big game. I'm meant to be sat here watching. I mean, how many Arsenal fans tell you on a day-to-day basis you're watching an unbelievable side, you're watching one of the best defenders in the world, Saliba, Saka's as good as Mohamed Salah, some Arsenal fans used to say to me maybe a year ago, Arteta's the next Guardiola, and they're in third. They had to be a lot closer. They have to be maybe not 29 points, but they have to be in the 30 points at this stage in the season, in my opinion. They're so far off it on current form. And the results have been decent. They had those 3 back-to-back wins in a row. The Sporting Lisbon result was fantastic as well. Free scoring. And then they come up against Fulham of all sides. I mean, Fulham are 10th. It's just dire, isn't it? It's just so subpar. It really is. I don't see Arsenal winning the title. If they did, it'd be a minor miracle. I really don't. At this current juncture, I don't see how they can do it. Let's just talk about Chelsea. Chelsea are now in the title race. I tweeted that last night. The issue is I'm sat here and I'm thinking if Chelsea win the Premier League title with a midfield that I think is worthy of winning it, I think I can see a midfield of Caicedo, Lavia and Palmer going on to win the title with Enzo as well, who's been in fantastic form. Can they go on and win the title in the future? Yes, I do see it. Can it be with Jackson up front? Yes. With Sancho on one side and Neto on the other? Yes, I can see all these players. With even Gusto, I thought who came on was absolutely fantastic. With Maresca, is Enzo Maresca a future Premier League title winning manager? I actually do see it. He's got a lot of confidence in these players. They're playing a beautiful brand of football. They control football matches when they need to. And they can go and bully sides and be ultra aggressive and make it end to end. They were 2-0 down against Spurs and they had belief. It's not easy. I know Spurs are poor, but it's not easy going away from home 2-0 down and actually almost instilling this belief that you're going to go on and win. Now I know Ange Postecoglou gives you that confidence. Of course he does. Terrible the way Spurs defended some of the Chelsea goals. It was embarrassing, really. It was embarrassing. Even the way they played Mickey van der Ven when you think he probably isn't fully fit to be playing this game. Big risk. Big risk. But Chelsea still had that belief, and that comes from Enzo Maresca. The big question for me is, despite their fine form, despite Cole Palmer arguably being in the best 11 right now in world football, if not being the best player in world football for some people, his confidence is on a whole different level. He makes Sancho, Jackson better. He makes Neto better. He makes everyone better and more confident. It would be the keeper. It still is the keeper, and it has to be a talking point. There would never be a Premier League title winning side with a keeper as bad as Robert Sanchez. With all due respect, I mean probably the worst keeper to ever win the Premier League title. I'm not sure if Tim Howard won it with Manchester United in the early 2000s, but then obviously Van der Sar came in. You think maybe it's Kasper Schmeichel. Is he the worst keeper to ever win the Premier League title? Probably, in terms of not being a world-class keeper. But I always thought he was borderline world-class Kasper Schmeichel for a good few seasons. And Robert Sanchez isn't 1% of Kasper Schmeichel, in my opinion. If Kasper Schmeichel from 2016 was in this Chelsea side, they'd probably have a couple more points and a couple less goals conceded, a couple more clean sheets. He was a top level keeper, Kasper Schmeichel. So it's not no disrespect. But you're talking Peter Cech, Van der Sar, Ederson, Alisson. You're talking, David Seaman, these unbelievable keepers, and Chelsea got a keeper nowhere near that. I don't think Chelsea's better than Chelsea have a better keeper than Brentford, Fulham, Bournemouth, Brighton. I know Verbruggen made a mistake on the weekend, but and then Aston Villa, Forest. I think they got better keepers. I think Wolves have got a better keeper than Jose Sarr. Honestly, I think Muric is better at Ipswich than Robert Sanchez on my life. So Chelsea, that's their big issue. The 2 goals they conceded, I think both. You might want more from Sanchez. I know the ball gets whipped across for the first one. It's dangerous. He's in no man's land. It was a little bit embarrassing. Then the second one, I think he should be saving it. I know it's a beautiful strike from Kulusevski. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I think he has to save it. Or at least put his hand on it. Look at the highlights of it. He's so close to the ball. You just think, how can Chelsea win the title with this? And then we have to talk about Liverpool. They've got the points. They've got... if they keep winning their games in hand, which is obviously 1 now, it's the points total is getting into the world of being multiple losses and a draw for a side to get back in. And obviously, Liverpool still have to play everyone in the top 4, in the top 5. It's still only early in the season. It's only halfway in the season. But they've had some tough games already this season. They've got through them. Lots of wins. Comfortable wins against Chelsea already. Against Man City already. Didn't lose to Arsenal. Their record against the Big Six is great already. And then you think, could they kick on and get better? We're talking. It's not. Sometimes in football we talk about things, sides as known quantities. So actually, this Liverpool side could get better. I think it could. The big advantage for Liverpool of what's happened this weekend is that they're a little bit closer now to Alisson coming back from injury, Konate coming back from injury. You look at the mistake that obviously Kelleher made in the Newcastle game and the adrenaline that would have gone into that game. And there were a few mistakes, and I think the midfield looks a little bit leggy, and Bruno was playing a few balls in around the corner. And now all of that kind of negativity around, and if you were to perceive the Newcastle result for Liverpool as negative, don't think you necessarily do, particularly away from home, but if you did, then all those negatives are kind of quashed a little bit. They're reduced because the world-class keeper, who's the best in the world, is now a week back. He's a week back to being fully fit with Christmas coming around. Got Fulham next, which will be a trouncing in my opinion. They've had an extra week off where Konate can come back as well. I think Konate will be the big one. And suddenly it's like this side are closest to January as well, where you never know, they could even make additions in the transfer market. They just get pushed closer to that kind of period of time where all they have to do is put their heads down, maintain a gap, maintain a decent level, and they'll win the Premier League title. So despite the fact that I tweeted that Liverpool have got pressure on them to win their catch-up game whenever that is, now that is completely subsided because City drew, basically lost. It feels like a loss, let's be honest. Arsenal drew, feels like a loss. And Chelsea pick up pace, and they're not really the perfect side to be picking up pace with Liverpool. They're far more ahead, and this is all due respect to Enzo Maresca, but they're far further ahead in the title race than they ever thought they'd be in terms of where they'd be in this point in the season. They were a top 4 side. I think that was a big target for them this season, get into the Champions League. That, I think for me, that is guaranteed now. They are now going to definitely finish in the top 4. They're more than good enough. They're going to blow sides away. But I don't think anyone, particularly if you're the neutral watching this video, no one wants Chelsea to be the only side competing with Liverpool, because Liverpool are leaps and bounds above Chelsea in terms of where their players are, in terms of having an understanding of their defensive lineup, their midfield, their forward line, having multiple players that are world class. Chelsea don't have that. They've got an average keeper at best. And they've still got, I'd say they've still got, a few little things they have to iron out. I mean, it wasn't the Caicedo situation coming in at right back. It didn't quite work. That changed half-time. And he still has a lot of credit in the bank to figure things out for the next couple of seasons. To say Chelsea are in a title race now it feels a little bit premature. And that is a damning shame when we're predicting the title race, because Arsenal and Man City are miles out of it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But those are my updated Premier League predictions. I gave Arsenal 5. I gave Man City 5%. So there's 90% there. I might have to give Chelsea 20% chance, just because I think Cole Palmer is so good. He's that good that I think he could single-handedly drag Chelsea into like March, April, only a few points off Liverpool. And the margins might be the keeper, like I've discussed in this video. But I'll give Chelsea 20%. The other side's 10 in combination. That's 30. I think Liverpool is 7 out of 10 favourites, 70%, if my maths is right. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Those are my Premier League updated predictions.